Thomas Sankara is a name that comes to mind when you think of Africa's greatest and most selfless leaders. He was a man who rode a bicycle to work instead of a luxurious fleet of cars with a convoy. When he was a minister of state, he always tried to cut government spending. His vision for Burkina Faso and Africa can be compared to that of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings of Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, Nelson Mandela of South Africa, and all of Africa's greats. He believed that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. His perseverance and selflessness make him one of Africa's greatest leaders who ever lived. His story is one that can be simply summarized with the phrase, "Good people don't last." He is indeed a true son of Africa. Let's begin the story of Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader. This is Bernard, and you are watching African Dream Motivation. Without wasting much time, let's begin. Thomas Sankara was born on 21st December 1949. As a child, he lived with his father in Guevara and was later transferred to an auxiliary gendarme and National Guard militia, which operated under the Ministry of Interior during the colonial rule. During the early 1990s, Burkina Faso had just a few African functionalities employed by the colonial state. Sankara and his father were among the few who enjoyed the privileges. They lived in a brick house with the families of other gendarmes at the top of a hill in Guevara. He was fortunate to attend school. His performance was remarkable at school, and he excelled marvelously in mathematics and French. They were Christians, and as such, his parents, who were Roman Catholics, wanted Sankara to be a priest, but his interest was somewhere else. At that time, the military was popular for taking power from the sitting president, Maurice Yamego. Sankara wanted to further his education, but he didn't have the financial backing to pursue that. As the saying goes, vouloir c'est pouvoir, meaning where there is a will, there is a way. He sat for an entrance exam and passed remarkably. Even though he had no money for further education, he was able to secure a scholarship into the military academy, of which he was already interested. He entered the military academy of Kadiogo in Ouagadougou's academy's first intake in 1966, when he was just 17 years of age. While he was still in the academy, he witnessed the first coup d'etat, which was led by Lieutenant Colonel Sangolle Lamizana on 3rd January 1966. Sankara's time in the academy gave him the exposure to study social sciences, history, geography, and a few more. This changed his perspective of governance for good. His history and geography teacher, Adama Toure, was very influential in shaping him for his future. Sankara was known as a man who had a progressive mindset, and outside teaching hours, Adama Toure will invite a few of his brightest students, including Thomas Sankara, to join him in an informal discussion about imperialism, neocolonialism, socialism, communism, the Soviet and Chinese Revolution, the liberation movements in Africa, and similar interesting topics. Sankara's encounter with Adama Toure enlightened him on a revolutionary perspective on his country and the world. Aside his academic and political discussions with Adama Toure, he also pursued his passion for music and enjoyed playing the guitar during his leisure time. He pursued a higher education, and in 1970, the 20-year-old Sankara went on to further his education in the Military Academy of Antwerp in Madagascar. In 1973, he graduated as a junior officer. The Military Academy of Antwerp went beyond the standard of military training and offered extra career training where Sankara pursued agriculture. This later was very instrumental in his own administration and government. He returned to the Upper Volta after his graduation. In 1974, tension began rising between Upper Volta and Mali. This resulted in a border war, and Sankara performed heroically. He earned fame in his heroic performance as he was celebrated. Referring to the border war, he later on renounced it as useless and unjust. While in the military, he enjoyed playing his guitar and even joined a band named Coup Jazz. Sankara also loved riding motorcycles as he deemed them cost-effective. In 1976, he was promoted to commander of the Commando Training Center in Po. His selflessness and hard work made him a popular figure in the military. In September 1981, he was appointed as Minister of Information in Seizewo's military government. As a minister, he differentiated himself from the other government officials in so many ways. Firstly, he was biking to work every day instead of driving a luxurious car. Secondly, all his predecessors strongly opposed journalists and newspapers, but he encouraged investigative journalism and allowed the media to print whatever they found. His level of transparency is something that would come back to haunt him. Newspapers published scandals of the government because they were allowed to publish anything they found. These and many other factors resulted in him resigning on 4th April 1982, accusing the government, describing it as misfortune to those who gag the people. 7 months after his resignation, another coup was executed. Major Dr. Jean-Baptiste Ouedraogo seized power on 7th November 1982. Sankara became Prime Minister in January 1983, but was dismissed on 17th May the same year. During the 4 months he served, he pushed the government so hard for progressive reforms, and that led to his dismissal. Sankara was arrested after the French president's African Affairs advisor met with Colonel Urien Some, who was the architect of a military coup against Colonel Seizewo. A few other military men were also arrested. At this point in Sankara's life, he had risen to be seen as a national hero among the military and the people also. This made his arrest very unpopular, and his imprisonment led to another coup, fueled by the young officers in the military. The coup was led by Sankara's own friend, Blaise Compaoré. After the coup was successful, Sankara became president since he was already a national hero and all the others supported him, including Blaise Compaoré. This happened in 1983, and Sankara was just 33 years of age, with a whole lot ahead of him. The coup is believed to have been supported by Libya, who was on the verge of war with France in Chad. Sankara saw himself as a revolutionary leader and was inspired by the examples of Cuba's Fidel Castro, Argentina's Che Guevara, and Ghana's military leader Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. His relationship with Jerry John Rawlings from Ghana showed two of Africa's greatest revolutionary eras. These two were similar in many ways, and their selflessness was outstanding. They personally took part in communal labor, which was a great motivation to citizens, inspiring them to also work hard and follow the directions of their leaders. They were all of the view that the black man can make an impact on his own. These two military regimes were very influential in the region. Thomas Sankara began making policies that were oriented towards fighting corruption, promoting reforestation, averting famine, and making education and health a priority. He had a good vision for Upper Volta, and he was ready to die fighting for it. On the first anniversary of his accession in 1984, he renamed the country Burkina Faso, meaning the land of the upright people. The name Burkina Faso is in two major languages of the country, which is in Mori and Darila. This was a great transformation as he gave the country a new flag and wrote a new national anthem. His administration was the first African country to publicly recognize the AIDS epidemic as a major threat to Africa. He was selfless and did everything he could to cut luxurious spending by the government. As the saying goes, good people don't last. While he was busy thinking about the country, his close friend, Blaise Compaoré, was also plotting a coup. Sankara had made Blaise his deputy, and he was a major part of his party, the African Revolution Council, and also served as a Minister of State at the presidency, and subsequently a Minister of State for Justice. Sankara was assassinated in a meeting, and all members were killed instantly, except for one person who survived to tell the story. His name was Haruna Traoré. In an interview, he narrated that they had a meeting around 4 p.m. and Sankara was the last to come, so the moment he arrived, they commenced. Haruna Traoré was given a report on a mission he was sent to in Benin. The moment he began giving his report, they heard some gunshots, and then a voice followed ordering them to get out. Thomas Sankara immediately rose up and went out with his hands up, but right at the entrance, he was shot at a point-blank range. He was singled out and executed by the assassin, and afterwards, 12 other people present were shot dead. His body was dismembered and was quickly buried in an unmarked grave. This became one of the greatest betrayals in African politics. His own friend Blaise, who took over power after Sankara was assassinated, was the prime suspect in the bloody murder. But unfortunately, he was in power for a long time, so justice for perpetrators was impossible, at least not under his watch. Blaise later accused Sankara for jeopardizing foreign relations with the former colonial power France and neighboring country Ivory Coast. He also accused Sankara of plotting to assassinate his opponent. All these accusations were not enough reason to assassinate your own friend. It was simply inhuman. Blaise Compaoré overturned nearly all of Sankara's policies. His dictatorship remained in power for 27 years until he was overthrown by a popular protest in 2014. This is when things turned bitter for him. After almost 30 years of assassination, justice was finally pursued without any major interference from Blaise. Blaise and 13 others were on trial for alleged complicity in the murder of Burkina Faso's revolutionary former president, Thomas Sankara.
Welcome back. More than 30 years later, 34 years to be exact, the trial for the assassination of former Burkina Faso President Thomas Sankara and the trial of Blaise Compaoré and 13 others in relation to that assassination of Thomas Sankara is going ahead. It is starting in Burkina Faso today. Well, Sankara was killed in a hail of bullets from a hit squad in October 1987. It resulted in his friend Blaise Compaoré being installed as president. Compaoré is facing charges of murder, harming state security, and being complicit in the concealment of corpses, along with his former right-hand man, Gilbert Diendere.
In the few years Sankara was president, he demonstrated great selflessness and embarked on many developmental projects. He cut down government spending and instead served the people with all his heart. He is recognized as one of the greatest African leaders who ever lived. He will forever be remembered as a true son of Africa. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Also, share this video with anyone you believe will love it as you did. Thanks again. See you in our next video. Until then, have a nice day.